Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. These podcasts are brought to you in part by our sponsors, who really truly are what make these podcasts possible every week. O'Fallon Nutrition is a company that I've worked with for over 15 years. They're independently owned and operated, located here in O'Fallon, Missouri, right off of Highway K and Mexico Road. I call this place the Whole Foods of St. Charles County, but even if you are not located on this side of the river, it is still worth the drive. I can remember working all the way down at Powerhouse and still sending people out to O'Fallon Nutrition for their supplements. They are more than a supplement company. You can get grass-fed beef, salad dressing, seasoning for your cooking, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, essential oils, and all the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. If you're looking for clean, whole food nutrition, as well as home care, house care, skincare products, O'Fallon Nutrition is your place. You can take a look at them at o'fallonnutrition.com, or if you'd like to have something shipped, if you're listening to me from outside of St. Louis, you can certainly have items shipped. I know they do free shipping if it's an order over $50, and the phone number is 636-240-5283. Again, it's o'fallonnutrition.com. As well as if preparing your food on a weekly basis is your primary excuse for why you're not able to stay on a good, clean eating program, which is something that I hear very regularly from my clients, I would ask you to please take the time to check out Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com. They are a phenomenal place. We get our food from there during the week. They deliver to our Integrity location. They will deliver to your house. They also are just available for pickup. You can go to their Chesterfield location or their Kirkwood location and just pick up meals for the day, as well as just having them delivered right to your door. So if preparing your food is your main excuse for why you cannot stay on a healthy eating program, then I would suggest just stop by Pure Plates. Just try it. If you're trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you're trying to get your blood sugar down, try to do Pure Plates meals for a week and just see how different you feel. These are organic meals. They are gluten-free. If you need them to be, they can be dairy-free. They are soy-free. You're not taking any processed sugars or meat-curing agents or preservatives. They really, truly believe in nutrient-dense meals that are just whole food nutrition. And I've had my clients, or I've made recommendations for my clients for years at Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com, or you can call them to ask questions at 636-778-3555. Again, remembering that they have a location in Chesterfield as well as in Kirkwood that you can just run by and pick up a meal today. Everyone always asks me where I get my meat from, and given that I really eat meat on a daily basis, typically beef primarily, my meat is very important to me. I have an autoimmune condition and I want grain-free, corn-free meat, and I just haven't found the confidence in stores in knowing that I'm getting 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And I have searched and searched and searched for the right farm, and I have found the farm. It's fedfromthefarm.com, fed, F-E-D, from thefarm.com. These farmers are amazing. It's a family. They're here in Missouri, and they have the desire, just like I do, to see people well and to see people healthy, and they put a lot into what they do. It's such a wonderful family to support. They do offer 100% grass-finished, grass-fed, meaning that's it. A beef, and I get my ribeyes, I get my ground beef, my ground sirloin, I get my chuck roast. I mean, they basically have everything. They even have awesome jerky, but they also have eggs, they have chickens, and they have turkey. I'm planning on getting a turkey for Thanksgiving, and if you'd like lamb, they have that as well. But if you are in need of good quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or quality eggs, chicken, turkey, don't just settle for what you're getting at the local store. to go out on the internet and check out Fed from the Farm. That you can arrange a pickup or you can have it delivered to your home. And I can guarantee you're going to taste the difference. For me, my health actually depends on it. So I really thank God to have found such a great farmer. Fedfromthefarm.com. I hope it blesses you.
Welcome to Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way, with your hosts, John and Debbie Morris from Integrity Training Systems.
Hey everybody, this is John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Usually I have Debbie with me, so I went ahead and said John and Debbie, but she's not here. It's just me today. So you have the John Show. We always like to start off by telling you what it means to be a warrior so that you recognize you are one. A warrior is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter, so you do not have to be brave. You do not have to be a soldier. If you are an experienced fighter, you're a warrior. Any experience you've had in life, anything you've had to overcome makes you a fighter. Therefore, you get to be a warrior. Why is that important? Well, being a warrior means that you're able to war. You're able to take on the things that come at you. Doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. Doesn't mean there's not going to be a fight. In fact, what it means is there will be a fight, but you're capable of going at it, and so we always like to talk about just clients, friends, family, people that we watch fight on a daily basis for things that they have to do to overcome, whether it be getting a new job, having been fired, let go, trying to overcome something with their health, trying to overcome something with their family. And I think the theme we were talking about, I was talking to a client today about this, is just persistence, just not giving up in anything that you do. And whether that be like going to the gym and doing reps, picking up weight. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to pick up 1,000 pounds just because you keep trying. But it does mean that if you actually start working toward that, your ability to hit that goal just increases exponentially. Now, maybe you only make it to 500 pounds, but if you're coming from 50, then that's a massive improvement. If you're trying to get a new job and you're just sitting at home and you're just thinking, man, I really hope this new job pans out, even though I haven't applied for it, even though nobody knows I want it, you're probably not going to end up with a new job. So how are you persisting right now to get to where you want to go? Get out of your current comfort zone, which you already know is uncomfortable. Put yourself in a little bit of different discomfort and take yourself to where you want to be. I remember when I lost weight, a lot of people ask me, like, how hard was it to lose 100 pounds? It wasn't easy, but it was simple. And people confuse those two things, difficult and hard, and difficult in my mind is complicated. If it's hard, that means you actually know how to do it. The game plan is laid out for you. There's something to tackle and go after. It's going to be hard on you. It's not going to be easy, whether that be a fight, whether that be the hours required, the relentless amount of hours that have to be put in, the tension, the wanting to cry because of being on a Stairmaster because your now wife used to be trainer is really rude and makes you get up there to burn calories. She's not here, so I can say that. Whatever it is, like that is what made it hard. It was hard because I had acclimated my body to be 100 pounds overweight. What my body liked to do was sit around and be lazy, sit around and eat, sit around and drink. It was an excuse. It was always, well, I had a bad day. Well, my job is tough. Well, I had a great day. I deserve to reward myself. If you're eating bad food because you deserve it and you're rewarding yourself, but you're also eating bad food because you had a tough day and it's how you're going to overcome it, is there really ever a medium day? Or are you just feeding yourself because you want to feed yourself? So that's what was hard, is I had to determine, like, okay, how do I get myself to a place where I get to where I want to go? And where I wanted to go was being well for the rest of my life. So I put in the reps, I put in the steps, and I actually lost the weight in 9 months. And so then after that, I decided that I wanted to put on muscle. And so I fought to put on muscle. And here's another one that's kind of interesting, is gaining muscle was actually harder for me than losing weight because I had to overeat. My body has a natural predisposition to trying to be skinny. The only reason I had gotten overweight is because I had actually halted my metabolism. And once I got myself healthy again, my metabolism fired back up, and then it was a fight to put weight on as far as muscle goes. So I was having to get up at 2 a.m., and this was before I got up at 3:30 like I do now. I would get up at 2 a.m. and I would eat, and I would go back to bed, and I would get up at 5 a.m., and then I would start my day. And the reason I did that is I was physically incapable of eating the amount of calories in a day as I needed to put the size on that I wanted to put on. That was hard. It wasn't impossible. It was something that I had to do to get to that goal. Now, that seems pretty extreme to some people, I'm sure, and it seems pretty extreme to me now as well. I'm not doing that currently, and I don't intend to ever do that again, but I had a goal. I had a mission, something that I wanted to accomplish. And the point of this story is all you have to do when you have a goal that is outside of your comfort zone, something that you want, you desire, and it's just a burning sensation that you know you want to go after, is you just have to go after it. You just have to get out of that. Well, it'd be extra work, and here's what's fascinating is I'm working with somebody right now and they're talking about changing careers, and they're wanting to transition out of their current career, which they absolutely hate, into a career that they really enjoy. And they're trying to figure out how to work part-time in the career that they enjoy. But the problem is they have to create their own business, and they're not paid during the business creation. And so they're looking at the business creation, those unpaid hours, as inconvenience. Well, the inconvenience is because this person's already working 40 hours a week. So if you add 5 to 10 hours of marketing yourself for a position you don't already have for free, then you're going to be at 45 to 50 hours a week of work, making 40 hours a week worth of pay. Well, you can't look at it like that. You have to look at it as that's 5 to 10 hours a week that are paying for your future if you really, truly want to get out of that 40-hour work week that you hate. But a lot of times what I find is people get to this place where no matter how much they have going on, there's somebody that might work 1 billion hours a week, or they tell you they do. That person comparatively to someone who doesn't even have a job. Have you ever noticed that both of them are maxed out? I mean, they literally would be doing nothing and they're maxed out. I had a client, I have one of my trainers. She is a world champion bikini competitor. And she was working with a client one day. This client's a bikini competitor. She had won some shows, but she was far from a world champion. And she's being trained by this trainer. And she is just sounding off to this trainer about how hard her day has been. And she's talking about how she had woke up that morning and things had started to go good, but then she laid down to take her afternoon nap and she got woke up by the doorbell. So she tried to go back to sleep and the doorbell went off again. And so she got annoyed and she got up and she went to the door, and it was the UPS guy, and she had to sign for a package. And the package was her new Louis Vuitton purse. And so she took that back inside, but then she wasn't able to get her nap. And so 2 hours later, she had to come train with this trainer. And so now it was like she was having a hard and horrible workout. Meanwhile, this trainer is standing there. And by the way, the client has no job. And her kids are old enough that they're out driving and taking care of themselves. So the trainer is standing there, raising 2 kids alone, single mom. Works 40 to 50 hours a week minimum at the gym to take care of herself, and does the same bikini competitor training, except to an extent that has made her a world champion. And she's listening to this girl complain, and she did such a good job of just letting it happen. But the point is, like, you are where you are, but I challenge you to take a look around yourself. And if you really want to be somewhere else, what's it going to take to do that? If this lady really wants to be a world champion, like maybe she has to skip the afternoon nap, or maybe she just needs to be okay with having not got it. Like, I don't know. Maybe she was happy where she was. Didn't sound like it. But whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're looking at as we go into the holidays, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about in the next segment, I challenge you to just think about what it's going to take to get to where you want to be. And I'm bringing this up and hammering this hard, or home so hard right now, because I find that the year is the time when people most contemplate their place in life. because the end of the year is the ending before a new beginning. And so January becomes the New Year's resolution, but the New Year's resolution thought process doesn't happen on January 1st. It happens in the back end of November into December because people start to think about what they want their next year to look like, what they want their next year to be like. And they start thinking about all of the things that they don't like about the current year they're in, or that they didn't accomplish in the current year they're in, rather than what they did. And that's very common. You'll talk to some people that'll be like, oh, 2025 was a great year. Loved 2025. I got this done. I got this done. I got this done. But that's going to be about 1 in 100. Most people have something that happened this year that didn't go the way they wanted it to go. And that's what they get hung up on. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems, you can give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered from our bakery to your doorstep, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-finished beef, it's the only meat that the Morris family eats, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Welcome back, everybody. John Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. If you were with us last segment, we were kind of rounding out talking about, as we get to the end of this year coming up, which will be here before we know it, getting into Christmas, and then ultimately the next year just starts. Where are you at with how you feel this year went? Are you happy? Did you get where you wanted to go? Did you get the promotion? Did you make up with your family members that you may be having a hard time with? Are you and your spouse doing better than you were at the beginning of the year? Did you lose the weight that you wanted to lose? Maybe it was even something that was your New Year's resolution last year. I got a guy in the gym. I always joke with him. He did this it was fit by 40, and he didn't actually accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. And I've known him for this long. He's just turned 50. What is it now? Fit by 50. And then he was like, but if I don't get this done, then I guess I'll be like, I can't remember what he said for 60. And he jokes about it, and he's in great shape, but he jokes about it, and the thing is, like, is that what you're doing? Are you letting years and even decades pass you by? And so as we're in December here, and you're kind of dealing with either the happiness of the holidays or potentially the sadness of the holidays, where whatever those invoke in you, what I challenge you to do is take a look at where you are, what you would like to change. And then this isn't talked about a whole lot, but how long have you wanted to change it? If you're sitting somewhere and you're like, okay, well, I know I want to do this. And then sometimes you'll even hear, well, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. How long have you been saying that? How long have you been needing to lose some weight? How long have you been pre-diabetic? I'm glad it hasn't turned diabetic, but how long have you been pre? How long have you been talking about just needing to get in the gym, just needing to eat better? How long have you been talking about needing to change jobs? Whatever it is, how long? Because I think you might surprise yourself how long you've been willing to just stay in this comfort zone. And I almost always hesitate when we're talking about comfort zones to call it that. It's almost like your discomfort zone. It's like you get discomfortable going to the next one, but this is a discomfort zone. You just don't know how to leave it. You don't want to leave it. It's scary, and then I'll get people sometimes. I had one guy, client of mine, he was kind of dying. We were working out really hard. And I was talking to him about it. Like, dude, you have got to quit eating garbage. Like, you have to. You want to accomplish this. You tell me you want to accomplish it. But I think you like eating garbage and feeling like crap more than you like the idea of feeling better. And he got mad. He's like, I don't want to feel like crap. I do want to feel better. And I'm like, well, prove it. Like, I hear what you're saying, but show me. Like, if you actually want to feel better, if it weighs more in your heart and mind than eating bad food, then why is it not winning? Well, I have a chemical predisposition, and, I don't get my stuff done, and my discipline, it's there, but then I don't get my food made. Okay, well, now that we've figured out why it's not working, how do we fix that? Quit saying you want something more. Quit saying that you want to go to this place, and look at why you're not there and actually start persisting towards it. That's the work. That's where I said it goes from being like difficult and hard. You can separate those. Like the concept is not really that difficult. If you know you need to lose weight, then what are you going to do? Eat less? Work out more? Well, that doesn't work. I have a health issue. Okay, then what are you going to do? Find a new doctor that can help you? Hire Deb, the most intelligent nutrition coach I've ever met? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to try to lose weight for a couple weeks on your own and it doesn't happen, so you give up? You're going to try to get a promotion and you get passed up by one person that has seniority on you one time, and so you give up? Like, people are too willing to give up nowadays, and they're too willing to take the gratification that comes from the short-term dopamine response of swiping their phone and let that be what they enjoy with their brain and their chemistry versus actually going out and accomplishing something. And I'll tell you what I don't want to do. I don't want to lie in my deathbed one day and have a billion regrets. I don't think anybody lays in their deathbed and doesn't have something, like one thing that they're like, I wish I would have done this, or I could have done that differently. But my goal is to go to my grave and acknowledge, like, man, I got some stuff done. I was a good husband. I was a good dad. I was a good business owner. I helped a lot of people. I got this done. I got that done. And I didn't leave things undone. I have a Bible verse tattooed on my wrist. It's Ecclesiastes 9:10. And basically the short version of it is, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do so with all your might, for there is neither nor work nor pleasure in the grave whither thou goest. And so what's that saying? Well, you're only on this earth as long as you're on this earth. And if you accept Christ in your heart and you're going to heaven, great. If you don't, well, that's another conversation. But what it's saying is leave it here. Like, don't half butt anything. So whether you're playing or you're working, play hard, work hard, get it done. Like, what are you waiting for? Don't be 75, 80, 85, 90, 100 years old thinking, man, I didn't accomplish anything, but I sure wish I would have watched more TikTok. Nobody's going to say that. And if they do, then I'm sorry if that's what you aspired for. But I don't think anybody's going to lay in their deathbed and wish they had watched more YouTube reels. And so if that's what you're spending your time doing right now and acknowledging you wish you would get something else done, change it. I wrote a book here recently. I actually went to college to be a collegiate literature professor. I wanted to teach college kids creative writing. But what I guess I didn't realize in my young stupor is that would mean actually grading papers and seeing what people, how they write. And so I took a course that taught you how to be a teacher. And the very first essay assignment was to grade 10 mock essays. And I remember it was a Saturday and I was about halfway through them and I wanted to bash my head off of the wall. And I recognized, oh, well, this is 10. And a college class is probably going to be at least 30 people. And if there's 30 people and I have 4 classes, that would mean I would have 120 of these I have to grade. And I dropped out of college. But I do still like to write. So I wrote a book. Now, there's a lot to still be done. It has to be edited. It's got to be combed through. I have to fill in blanks where I hadn't wrote enough story, maybe cut some fluff out, get it into a nice little neat package, edit it, and then send it off to have it professionally edited and ultimately talk about having it published. Why am I telling you this? Well, I'm telling you this because I have waited decades to write, okay, since I got out of college. And B, even now, having wrote it and gotten excited about it and telling some people the beginning of it and the prologue and people have read it and they're excited about it, there's a little bit of a steam slowdown for me because the excitement has worn off. The beginning has worn off. And so now we're in the meat of the race and it's like, but I have all this other stuff I have to do. And so I have to stay on top of myself to get that done. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in this next segment, about what I'm going to do to just ensure I don't lose steam on this. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems, you can take a look at us at integritytrainingsystems.com, or for a free fitness assessment, give us a call at 636-299-2208. For nutrient-dense, gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered from our bakery to your doorstep, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family eats, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Welcome back, everybody. This is John Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Before we went to break, I was talking to you about a book that I'm writing and how at this stage of the game, I've sent out the prologue to a lot of people. They're invested, they're fired up, they want to know what happens to this character. I've actually finished this story. I don't even know. It's probably 14 chapters is kind of what I ended up at. And it's all the way to the final conclusion. This thing is done. There is no open end for a sequel. It's a one and done deal, and it's ready to edit. And I've started editing it. I'm about through the first a little bit into what would probably be the second chapter worth of editing. But I just told you that there are teens worth of chapters. And so at this stage of the game, there's some steam that's fallen off of me, and it's the end of the year, and I have Christmas coming up and all of these family things I have to do and present buying and blah, 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 blah. And so it's easy to say, okay, well, I'm going to wait until January to do this. But the problem with waiting until January is you start putting weeks between the time that you do something. And now all of a sudden you have all of these other things that you have to do that take precedent over the writing. And if you don't believe that for yourself, think about the last time you had something you wanted or needed to do and you waited until you had more free time to do it. Does anybody ever recognize a day that they've ended up with more free time than they used to have? I don't think that happens. You know how many people I know that retire and they're like, I went from working 40 hours a week to zero and I'm busier than I've been in my entire life. You know, I don't think you ever really have more quote unquote free time. So if you're looking to accomplish something, I think you just have to get it done. Okay, so one parameter that I'm doing to make sure I get this thing wrote. Well, I'm setting aside time in my week that I know, okay, I'm going to spend a minimum of 3 hours a week right now working on this. If I get a cancel at work, my first cancel of the week, I'm going to work on it as well. And then if I get a cancel on Friday, I'm going to work on it then too. And I always get at least 2 cancels a week. So that's going to be 5 hours I'm going to work on this. Another thing I'm doing is I'm having images of my story from certain scenes drawn. So that actually keeps me interested because I'm like, ooh, I want to see what this looks like as far as being put in art form. And so that's a way to kind of trigger me to say, okay, well, that's really cool, but I'd like to write it a little bit different or see what it can come up with. These are some silly parameters that I'm implementing, some disciplines I'm implementing to make sure I get my book wrote, okay? So here in December, as you're considering going into January, and we all start making New Year's resolutions, whether you want to call it that or not, if you're deciding you want to do something next year that you didn't do this year, what are you going to do to make it happen? And another thing I will tell you, I just hit on this with the free time thing. There's absolutely no reason to wait until January. You are in your head about that. You think that you need a start day, a Monday, back in after the weekend. January 1st, back in after January. You know what the problem with that is if you don't start in that time frame or it doesn't go well in that time frame, you're kind of subconsciously already defeating yourself. You know how many people I know that start something in January and by February it's not going great, and so they kind of fall off a little bit, and then when it comes back to like March, they're just kind of like, it just didn't really work out. Or how many people say they're going to start something in January, and then once January is by, they're like, well, I kind of missed that, but I'll get to it. And it's like, but you never do. So start now. And there's a quote, and I'm so bad about remembering who says things, but this is off the internet. And it said, the best day to do something was yesterday. The second best day is today. And the absolute worst day that you can do something is tomorrow, because you're not guaranteed a tomorrow. You don't know what tomorrow is going to hold. And it also says, this is something I said, but don't tick tomorrow you off with today you's laziness. And have you ever had someone when you went to work, Like you're a day shift guy and the night shift guy leaves work that they should have got done, or vice versa. And so you come in, and now not only do you have to do your job, but you have to do their job because they were lazy and they're like, oh, so sorry, man, I got behind a little bit. And you're just like, no, you didn't. You just don't do your job. Don't do that to yourself. Like don't set yourself up to tomorrow be rushing around wishing you'd got everything done when yesterday you could have. And so when I start trying to put things in line like that for myself, I do that with my daughter. She has a violin concert coming up for orchestra. And I'm like, how much have you been practicing for that? And she admitted not enough. Well, then they gave her a solo. And so I'm like, okay, well, you better probably practice. Now, Sophie, she does really well at the violin, but I'm like, you want to give the best presentation that you can. And if you wait to get this practice in, then all you're going to do is set yourself up to freak out right before it's time to do it, that you aren't ready. You might not be good enough. You might not be able to accomplish it when really you are. You're just setting yourself up to have those types of feelings and emotions. And so I guess my whole point in all of this is, as I talk about coming to the end of this year, I know every single person that I speak to, at least, always has something that they want to get better at or improve going into the next year. And I challenge you now, even if you let January 1st be day one of this new program, write it out. Like what's it going to take? If your goal is weight loss, very common January 1st goal, weight loss in the new year, what's it going to take? Write it down on paper. Do you know you need to hire me? Do you know you need to hire Debbie? You've tried it before and it just doesn't work out on your own. Okay. That's a great thing to write down. Make the phone call. You can call us and tell us, hey, I'm wanting to come in. I'm super busy at the end of December, but I want to come in early January. Can I go ahead and schedule and come in and see somebody to prepare to get started? Great. Let's do that. Okay. Well, let's say you don't need me. We'll write it down. What are you going to do? You need to get on a treadmill. How many times a week are you going to get on a treadmill? How long are you going to do it? You need to work out. You got to pull sugar and gluten and dairy out of your diet. Okay. Well, is it in your closet right now? Your pantry? How are you going to get it out of your pantry? How are you going to quit buying it? How are you going to get your family to quit bringing it home? These are the types of things that you need to start thinking about rather than being like January 1, let's go. It's, new year, new me. No, it's really not. It's a new year and it's still the old you. Okay. You don't get to outrun old you, but you can change some of your patterning. All right. And so I guess I just want to see everybody be well. I want to see everybody get what they want out of this new year and not feel like they're going to leave another one behind. I've had I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of funny. We're just talking about this. I turned 40 in 2 weeks, and which is hilarious because people hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, I thought you were older than that. I never get, I thought you were younger than that. And I'm like, I don't think that's a compliment. But no, it's funny because I'm only going to be 40, and I joke that I don't need a midlife crisis because I went ahead and had that at 26, and so for me, there's not this weird midlife mortality, but there is a recognition that my 30s are gone. I had to kind of stop and I'm like, my 30s are gone. Not that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm halfway through my life. Maybe I only make it to 60. Maybe I only make it to 100. I don't know. It's not that. I'm a decade gone. What does that mean? Did I accomplish? Did John reach what he wanted to reach between 30 and 40? Did I accomplish it? And what I realized is I need to be more present in the day-to-day. I'm present in the week, the month, the year, getting things done and accomplishing tasks, but I don't remember enough days from my 30s. I remember events, but not enough days. I don't remember the day that me and my daughter had a great time. It was so fun. We went and did this. I don't remember the time that my wife and I went and did this and I did this. That means that I'm not spending enough time smelling the roses, if you will. I have a good life. I am blessed, but am I paying attention to it? And so going into my new year, one thing that I intend to do, and I've already started this, is take every day captive. Just think about what the day has to present. And then be thankful on the following day when I wake up and get to have another one. Because even in your worst day, when you think you've got it bad and you don't maybe even want to be around anymore, which if that's the case, you need to talk to somebody. Been there, done that. Just recognize that someone went to bed last night with a ton of plans of what they were going to do today, and they didn't wake up. Whatever that may be. They may have been 80. They might have been 8. People die every day. A lot of people die every day. You want to get morbid, look up those statistics. How many of them do you think, if given the opportunity to come back and do what they wanted to do that they missed out on, would do it? People leave things undone every time they pass away. And so rather than getting up and being like, oh, it's another Monday, like here we go, TGIF Friday, so done with my week, try to be thankful for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Try to find a way to actually be glad that you woke up. Do it with purpose. What is your mission? What are you going to accomplish today? I'm serious. Ask yourself, what are you going to do today? If it's go to an 8-hour job that you absolutely hate, why do you hate it? Can you do something different about it? Can you talk to someone different? Okay, you hate it. Well, then how are you going to get out of it? What are you going to do to get out of it? And what are you going to do to enjoy your day around it? Because every day you waste away because you dislike something at your job doesn't actually hurt your job. It hurts you. So why are you giving up your happiness? Why are you giving up your day? Can you come home and pay attention to your family? Does that make you happy? Get off your phone. I had ChatGPT, whether you feel good about AI or not, write me a dissertation on if it were a Satan-like villain, what would it do to take over the world? And one of the things that it said was it would separate families first, and it would cause families to mistake proximity for love. Think about that for a minute. Just because you sit in the same room with your family doesn't mean that you love each other. And it goes on to say, I will blind them with devices. They will be in the same room, but they'll be staring at their own glowing devices. And so though they'll feel like they're together, they'll be utterly alone. And so if you're sitting in a room and all you do is flick your phone and your daughter or son's trying to tell you how the day went, you might be listening. You might be taking that in, but what are they seeing? What are they watching? What are they watching you do? Do they really feel interested? Have you ever had that, guys? You ever had someone send a text message or do something and you're watching them while you're trying to have a conversation? How does that make you feel? So check yourself on that, okay? Because again, like I said, no one gets to the end of their life and says, I wish I would have watched more Instagram reels. Pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to your family. Write your goals down. What are we going to do to get from point A to point B as we get into the next year? What are you going to do to be better? What are you going to do to be happy about where you are while pursuing where you want to be? It's not about being unhappy with where you are. It's not about thinking you're worthless, but we all have room for improvement, and we all have room to find more fulfillment in what we do on a daily basis. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com. Or for a free fitness assessment, you can give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered from our bakery to your front door, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-finished meat, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Welcome back, everybody. John Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Talking a little bit on the break here just about, kind of overcoming. I run a men's group called the Men of Integrity, and we meet right now once a month, except somehow I've managed to schedule the next two weeks apart. And I had one guy tell me that he hopes to continue to see it do that. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that, but like we're we're trying because I need it as much as these guys do. But just talking about like what, with all these things that people don't accomplish in their life, we've talked about what you need to do it differently. But then I think another good thing to think about is why. A lot of times we think about our why as far as what we want to do, but have you ever thought about your why not? Like, why aren't you doing it? What's holding you back? We were talking about the radio show. My producer, Drew, brought it up. I used to be terrified to come on this show. And, you know, it's really hard when you're looking at an audience of like 4 microphones and a laptop screen to talk to them. You know, it's like public speakers like, yeah, okay, John. You know, it's funny though, like it's this idea, right? It's this idea of like, what if someone's listening and they don't approve or they don't like it, or, you know, they think I'm dumb or I sound stupid or I trip over my words. And, you know, you just kind of get to this point where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Well, you know what they do? They turn the station, or they maybe write in and say you sound dumb. It's like, whatever, you know, if it helps one person, if what you're doing helps one person, why wouldn't you do it? So that could have been a why not. And for a while it was. Debbie had to come alone. You know, I struggled. Another part of that is because I've had traumatic brain injuries. And so prior to going to the Amen Clinic, which is where I went to assist with my traumatic brain injuries, I had such neurological and chemical imbalances that even if I wanted to not have anxiety or be like freaked out or low, like it was actually chemically impossible because I was dealing with both the mental aspect and the chemical aspect. Well, we corrected the chemical aspect and now I'm dealing with the mental, and that's what you have to overcome. I talked a little bit in the last segment about wanting to end it. You know, people talk about, I deal a lot with people lately, man, it's just like after my heart with people that are suicidal. I mean, I've talked to 3 people this week whose children between the ages of 11 and 14 have expressed suicidal tendencies. 11 to 14, like when I was in between the ages of 11 to 14, I was like eating my own boogers and riding bikes. You know, it's like, I mean, what are we doing? Like, how have we let our world get so to a point where the kids are experiencing this? You know, it's terrifying. Adults are experiencing it. And I get it. I've been there. You know, I 9 years ago, Debbie had to actually remove a firearm from my hand in a very intense moment where I didn't intend to wake up the next day. Okay. So it's like, I get it. I've been there, but why? So what is it that gets you there? What is it that's got you so to the point of wanting to give up that you think that that's the answer? And for those of you who have never experienced that, I'm so happy for you. But let me explain to you what it is. When you have these types of feelings, these emotions, depression, anxiety, bipolarism, these things that run your life, okay, where someone's like, I don't understand, just choose to be happy. And you're like, well, okay, you know, that's a really great thought. Why didn't I think of that? It's kind of like being in a library and the fire alarm is going off, but you're the only person that can hear it. Everybody else around you sitting there studying, the librarian's sitting there reading a book, and this fire alarm's going off. And whether that's your anxiety or depression, you really want it to stop. You want this alarm off, and you look everywhere. You're looking for the thing that you can pull on. You're looking for a way to like silence it. You put your hands over your ears. You try to talk quietly to people, but then you can't even hear your own voice. And then you try to talk a little bit louder and the librarian shushes you. Well, the only way you know how to turn that fire alarm off is to turn it all off. That's where people get to. That's all they know how to do is I just want it to be quiet. I want it all to stop. Okay. And so if you're in that position, first off, like I said, call and seek help. I mean, just seek help, whether you think you need it or not. If you're already thinking that way, you need the help. Okay. And that's coming from someone who's had to do it. But if you're in a place like that and you're thinking about things that could make you do better, could make you happier, could get you the type of accomplishment to pull you out of there, I want to take you back to the why not. Why aren't you doing this? If you're not in that position, life's maybe not that serious for you. Maybe you need to take a minute and actually be thankful for where you are. But again, let's think about how you're going to get to where you want to be as well. What's your why not? Are you saying like, well, I really want to lose weight? Well, why aren't you? Why not? Because it's hard to get up and go to the gym. Okay, we'll work through that. Is it really that hard? You can pull that off, right? And now next thing you know, you're able to go to the gym. Like you just worked through it. And all it was taking a moment to acknowledge your why not. And so everything that I do now, I try to do everything I do for the Lord. And so what I think about is my why has to outweigh my why not. So for instance, I know I'm supposed to lead this Men of Integrity group, and I do know that it is scheduled 2 weeks apart right now. And I do know it's supposed to be bigger and greater than a one-time-a-month deal. And I do have a vision that's been given to me because of this. And my why not, it's kind of funny, is kind of ridiculous. I'm like, well, I don't have time. Well, I mean, that could be considerable. You know, people already know that. Well, I just don't think I'm qualified. Well, I just don't. My why nots are actually all kind of emotionally made up nonsense. And my why is to help people because I feel called by God to do it. Acknowledging that has allowed me to determine that I need to continue to press forward in this. If I just sit around and think, I don't know, man, like I don't really have the time for this, negativity always wins. It always wins. Because back to the point of my book writing, if you've ever ran a race, which I don't know why you would want to do that because running's terrible, but if you've ever even watched a race, the beginning is fantastic. Everybody's cheering and screaming, and there's ropes and there's flags and balloons, and you take off. And then at the end, it's really exciting because there's a finish line. It's big. It's usually marked. There's more people, yelling and cheering, and there's balloons and sometimes alcohol and trophies and whatever you're looking for. But the race actually happens between those two exciting points, and there's nobody out there. Everybody that's out there is either competing with themselves, maybe competing with someone else, but no one is out there rooting you on. The luster has fallen off. The excitement has fallen off. It's just about getting the race done at that point. And so a lot of times what happens is people think less about the accomplishment, and they think less about what comes out of the race and comes out of the work, and they think more about being stuck in the work, and so they just choose not to do it. But the work, that's what's actually going to help you grow to get to where you deserve what you get on the other side of it. Nobody crosses a finish line without running a race. Nobody gets a job without training for it. Nobody loses weight without exercising. Like there's nothing in this world worth having that doesn't require some level of discomfort, and there's not always going to be someone there to cheer you on. Alex Hormozy, I said this last week, he said that most times in life when you accomplish something in the very beginning, when you set out to do it, people will tell you you're nuts. You're crazy. Well, that doesn't really make sense. Well, good luck. Can't wait to see how that goes for you. And then when you are successful, what you're met with is, must be nice. Or, well, you got pretty lucky on that one. The work is never looked at. Okay. The work is not what's considered except by the person who has to do it. So they're going to tell you you're lucky, but when you tell them about the work, they're like, I'm good. Okay. So wherever you are right now, consider why you want what you want. Why can't you get it done? What's the why not? Is the why not really strong enough to prevent you from getting to the next phase of your life, whatever you're looking to accomplish? If it's in health and wellness and it's in fitness, I promise you we can help you. It's literally what we do. It's not just about burning calories. It's not just about meeting macros. Most people in today's day and age have health system or symptoms that go far beyond just being in a calorie deficit. Feel well. It's about working out so that your body maintains its structural strength. It's about making sure that this is something you can do for a lifetime. Train for longevity. If it's not something that I can help you with, get on Google and find someone who can. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com. Or for a free fitness assessment from all of our personal trainers, take a look or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered from our bakery to your front door, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-finished beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Thank you so much for listening. God bless.